Good afternoon.
Pleased to meet you. So Poland, Slovakia and Hungary say they're banning the import and transit of grain from Ukraine to protect their own agricultural sectors. It comes after local farmers complained of grain coming from the war-torn country being sold below market price. Let's listen what Ukrainian farmers have to say.
We are facing difficult situation today. Price for petrol has risen. Price for pesticides has risen. Mineral fertilizers. I cannot even tell you how much the price for them has risen. They make the main chunk in the expenses. That's why it is not easy for us these days. I would like farmers and agricultural lobby in the eastern countries to understand that we face similar problems. We don't ask for subsidies. We don't want anything like that. Just help us to sell our goods.
Is it time for unilateral and unjustified import bans on Ukrainian grain right now?
Thank you for the question and thank you for this topic raising in spotlight, because the issue is really very important. And as we see, the whole attention from the media and from the farmers, not only in Ukraine but in neighboring countries, is drawn to this issue in the latest day. But I must say that the situation has developed not only recently, but rather in during the months since the autumn of 2022, where were already first signs of worrying signs from the Romanian and Polish farmers who were actually not very pleased by the situation, this transit of Ukrainian grain through their countries. And here we come into one of the factors which played quite an important role in this situation which we have right now in these days. This is the so-called bottleneck, these European Union logistics and infrastructure systems, which were not very good coping with all the volumes of grains and oilseeds which came from Ukrainian side after the liberalization of the trade regime proposed by the European or imposed by the European Commission. And the second also objective factor which we have here in place, you mentioned that Ukraine or Ukrainian farmers and exporters, like it seems from the European side, are selling their grain with some sort of discount. Well, it's not really true, because Ukrainian grain is historically quite competitive from their price point of view. And what we've seen again in the latest month on the world markets, if we analyze the price development, we see that the prices have gone down, unfortunately. And as it seems again, the Polish and Romanian or Slovakian farmers were expecting higher prices at the beginning of this season of spring 2023. So in general, we can understand, definitely we can understand all the difficulties and challenges that which the Eastern European farmers are coping right now. But we shouldn't forget who or what is the primary source of all these worries and challenges, not only for Ukraine, but again now for the European Union and for European Union agricultural producers. This is definitely only Russia and Russian aggression, because without Russian aggression and full-scale war and invasion in Ukraine, we wouldn't have such a difficult situation in our own agriculture in Ukraine, and we wouldn't have such a situation right now at Ukrainian-European Union borders. Again, here is, I think, this all these protests and all these worries of the Eastern European farmers, it's rather about the worsen towards the Brussels and towards the European Union, and European Commission, because I know during my talks with different agricultural stakeholders holders in both in Poland or in other European countries. I've heard that, the need for more flexible, for faster actions is clearly needed in case of the European Commission, because many of the steps are quite bureaucratic and take a long time. Yeah.
In early April, coinciding with the protests by farmers in Ukraine's western neighbors, Russia began to more actively block the inspection of ships carrying the Ukrainian grain. And later, it unilaterally stopped registering ships leaving Ukrainian ports as part of the grain initiative. So what is the future of this agreement, and what can Ukrainian farmers hope for in this situation?
Yeah, what a coincidence, right? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, Russia all the time is pressuring and trying to blackmail the activities within their grain initiative, which was signed in late July last year. And to tell the truth, we didn't expect anything else from the terrorist state like Russia in this sense. What we are doing, we are combining our efforts both from Ukrainian side, from Ukrainian ministries and different institutions who are involved in work of this grain corridor. Together with our international partners, first of all, definitely Turkey and the United Nations. And what we're trying to do, we are trying to now to form a very clear and firm position as for the Russian demands, because all what we are doing right now with all this silent sabotage, as I name it, of the work of the grain corridor, we are trying to ease the international financial sanctions, first of all on banks. Russian banks, including the largest agricultural bank, Rossельhozbank of Russia. And we're trying in this way to put under pressure all the participants of the grain corridor. But as we've seen already in November of 2022, all the participants of this initiative are clearly on a position that grain corridor should work stable and sustainable, because it's not only about the survival or not about the critical situation for Ukrainian agricultural producers, farmers, from the small ones to the medium and large ones. It's about the food security worldwide. And the latest news again, which I read just today, the World Food Program of United Nations is saying that up to 48 million people in Africa in the next couple of months are just in acute danger of the famine and hunger. And at the same time, what we are seeing that Russia is using their food and food security issues, including food exports from Ukraine, as a weapon.
Yeah, well spotted, really well spotted. During the Russian aggression, the significant part of Ukraine has become a minefield. This not only makes movement difficult, but also causes serious disruption to agriculture, one of the main sectors of the Ukrainian economy. What is going to be harvested, and will there be enough to go around?
Yeah, there will be enough of grain and oilseeds, definitely. So there is no worry about the food security, at least for Ukraine. But when we are talking again about the global aspects of the food security, we should really think about the export ways and export routes for Ukrainian food to get out of our country, because we are producing much more when we need it for the domestic consumption, both for food and feed. And that's why it's important right now to provide for our farmers not only the possibility to go in the fields and work, so to demine fields, for instance, in a southern part of Ukraine. We know that very actively the work's now underway to the mining fields in Kherson region, in Zaporizhia region. Every day, this service teams are working there to help farmers. But the second thing is then Ukrainian farmers are again effectively and productively grow the crops on their fields in this dangerous situation, despite all the challenges and growing prices of the inputs for their production. The issue of the exports of these products, both by the seaways, by their sea routes through the Black Sea, and by on ground ways through the European Union, so-called solidarity lanes. This is the main issue. So we really hope that during next several months, the active negotiations between Ukraine, European Union, between Turkey, Ukraine, and United Nations will take place to assure more or less stable, how it could be in this situation under the Russian aggression, more or less stable work of the export routes for Ukrainian most important food staples for world markets.
And by the way, I got some figures to strengthen just your statements. The World Food Programme reports that 382 million people in 82 countries are currently experiencing acute food insecurity, and describes the current situation as the global hunger crisis of unprecedented proportions. If the agreement is not renewed, then what?
Well, this is a big question. Everybody now is discussing one of the latest, let's say, blackmailing letters of Russia to the coordination center in Istanbul, where we're saying that, yeah, we agreed for a prolonging of the grain initiative only till 18th of May, no longer, if no concessions in financial sanctions against Russia will be somehow met. So everybody is now asking what will happen after 18th of May, when, for instance, Russia will say, we are not agree with working of the grain initiative without Russian participation in this inspection teams, etc. Again, we remember the situation in November of 2022, then the more or less similar situation happened, and we had experienced the same demarche of the Russian participants or Russian representatives there. And what we've seen that thanks to the very firm and very clear position of Turkey at that moment, Russia was actually forced to backtrack their decision, and just after a day or two, we said, well, okay, if you are saying that you are working without us, we are coming back. So will we try somehow some military actions again, commercial shifts with loaded with grain? Mm-hmm. I don't think so, to tell the truth. But again, we are dealing here with a terrorist state. We cannot even predict any kind of we cannot predict what we're capable of. So from the beginning of the this grain initiative signing, we were saying that any kind of negative surprises actually are possible, unfortunately, due to participation of Russia in this agreement.
But still, let's be optimistic. Thank you so much, and Slava Ukraini.
Heroям slava.
Ambassador at Large of the Ministry for Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Doctor of Agricultural Sciences, Olga Trofimtseva, was the guest of Spotlight Ukraine. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Latest news, trends, and analytics on all about Ukraine. Like, share, and subscribe. Any questions, proposals, and comments, contact us via email.